Welcome back. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great day. Hey, thank you for listening to the show. Really excited about our next guest. And of course, I have to admit, I tend to love people who are creative, and she's just incredibly creative. We have Irene Booker on with us. And, of course, Irene, welcome.
Good morning. I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm thrilled you're on with us because, number one, I admire what you do. Of course, I'm a frustrated writer myself, and I always enjoy anybody with the kind of creativity that you have. You've had a profession as a real estate professional for 25 years, but to you, I would imagine that writing is probably what's really, truly near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
Yes, because I've been writing since the age of 12 years old. 12?
Well, now,
yes.
Okay, at what point when you were 11, you're saying, I don't really like writing, and then you hit 12 and you said, okay, I'm going to start writing. What was it that got you going?
Well, the thing is that when I was in elementary school and middle school, I would actually read books that I actually wanted to see myself in.
Wow.
And based on the fact that I could not see myself in certain books, I stated to myself, once I grow up, I want to be able to write children's books that are diverse so that all children will be able to read these books and be able to grow from them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I can hear the sirens in the background. So, yes, we do know for a fact you are in New York. It is official. But when you're 12 years old, what were your favorite books when you were 12? Mine, personally, Wrinkle in Time. Loved Wrinkle in Time, Red Fern Grows. There were so many books that, I could kind of place myself in. What were your favorite books?
Well, my favorite were Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, and See Jane Run.
Wow.
Yes. So we're going back a long time ago.
That was a couple of years ago, but yeah. So you're writing. So when you were 12, what were the kind of things you were writing? You were writing stories that you fit yourself into, or what were you writing?
Yes, I would write stories that I could actually see myself in,
yeah.
And also what I would do is write a lot of poetry, poems, and also I would love to write songs.
Yeah.
But most of the children's books that I would actually write were children's books that were more so self-help.
Right.
Okay? Instilling greatness in children. This is something that I always wanted. Like I would always say to myself, I was born for greatness. I was born for greatness. I was born for greatness. And I would convince myself continuously that I was born for greatness. And that's what led me to the type of life that I have today.
Right.
It's because I had that seed within me.
Right.
And I knew then, because of me constantly telling myself I was born for greatness, it instilled something within me that made me know within myself that I can never give up. My dreams must take me outside of my neighborhood, and that's what I was able to allow myself to excel. I wouldn't stop at any shortcomings. I knew within myself I had to excel.
You obviously were a very special young lady because I vaguely remember 12 because once, like you, it was not like me, it was a long time ago. But 12 years old is a tough time. And, that's when you start going into teenage years. That's when self-esteem is usually at its lowest. So for you to have that kind of attitude, but I think what impresses me the most is that you were sitting there writing, looking around, seeing other people suffering, and you wanted to help them.
Yes. And that was very important to me.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, because it gave you a life mission when you were 12 years old. That's huge.
Yes. Like, for instance, even with today, like whenever I go home and I visit Mississippi, I always try to give back as far as my books.
Right.
Or either going and speaking to the elementary students about becoming the person you were born to become. We must not stagnate our growth. We must evolve. We must become. We must become the change that we actually want to see in our neighborhoods. And the only way that we can actually do that is by never giving up. Going to school, get your education, and no matter what, you must read. I would say at least read a new book every week. You have got to read. Because reading will take you places that your eyes cannot see. But you can envision the places that you want to discover, to ascertain, to grasp. So whatever a child's mission is in life, or you want to become, You can never give up. And you must read.
We're speaking with poet and author Irene Booker. Irene, I'll be honest with you, I think you've touched on something really important there, and that's something I try to stress to my kids. For me, when I read, it lights my imagination and it allows me to take one and one and make three out of it. And,
Correct.
you know, I can't get that out of television. I can't get that out of, you know, just doing anything else. But if I read, it helps me create pictures in my mind. And, you know, and I think about the book Pippi Longstockings, and I always created this wonderful imaginative, you know, background. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, nah, that's not working for me. It's not as cool as what was in my head. So what you're saying is for when you come visit the kids, they need to have that skill set. Now, let me ask you this, because you know, when you were 12 and you saw the condition of 12-year-olds out there, and now you come back and you talk to 12-year-olds, have you seen a move in the right direction for 12-year-olds, or do you think that your work is just yet begun, that you still have a lot more work to do?
Well, the thing is that I do see the possibility in a lot of the children, because even when I came back to New York, I had certain children that were reaching out to me through my Facebook. They wanted more books, or they wanted to, like, identify with what New York City looks like. And for me to be able to translate to them that this city is nothing like my hometown. But the main thing is that this city can be a reflection of our hometown. But, you see, we have got to go back into those communities to build, because that 12-year-old child, they can see New York City on television, and they can say, oh, my God, look at that Big Apple, or look at those lights, or look at those cities, look at those buildings. And the thing is that when you look at the buildings here in Midtown, you see a completely view of what we actually see in our hometown. So what I actually try to do is let that child know that's something to strive for. I don't care what your conditions are at home. You can strive for anything you choose to do in your life if you never give up. And see, a lot of times we have a tendency to give up right before the blessing has been conceived.
Amen.
And that's the problem with a lot of us. You see, prosperity cannot thrive in fear. It will not thrive in fear. So the only thing that we can actually do is to go back, talk to the children, let them know, because a lot of children have not even traveled the world. They haven't even been outside of Mississippi. And what I'm saying is that if you have that seed planted within you, and if you challenge that seed, you can become anything or anyone you choose to become. That drive, that instinct has got to be planted within that child. And to me, in a sense, the best way to reach a child is when they're young, when their minds are still fresh, and it has not been tainted. So to me, in a sense, that's when we have to go back. We have to start rebuilding the root, the core of a child. Because when we stagnate our growth, we feed upon poverty. And see, right now, my mission is to try to defeat poverty. No matter what I do in these books, I plant seeds of greatness to let these children know. These books are about diversity, unity, our future leaders. I address the stock market, investing, because these are some of the things that I love. These are my passion. Investing in the stock market, buying real estate. I try to instill the seeds of greatness in all children to let them know we must defeat poverty, because when we defeat poverty, we're able to go back into our communities, become the doctors, become the lawyers, become the scientists, become the hedge fund managers, whatever it is. We can be lifted. We can be elevated. But the main thing is that you have got to want to uplift and inspire all children, not just my immediate family, but all children.
Well, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about reading your work and getting to talk, just hearing your passion as you talk here on the radio. That's the beauty of it, is because when these kids reach out and when they meet you, they can't help but be inspired, because you're a fantastic role model in your own right.
Yes, yeah. I try to be.
Yeah, definitely are. Well, let's talk a little bit about your book that came out in 2011. It seems like just yesterday, but Prey of Innocence. Talk a little bit about, where were you when you authored this book?
Well, Prayer of Innocence was something that I had written when I was around about 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And what I actually did was that it's a compilation of poetry and poems. And I put these different poetry and poems together so that, like, for instance, I'll quote one. Let's just say Distant Love. Distant Love says, no matter how far the distance may be, you will always have a way of getting next to me. The love we behold shall forever stand. It will never perish by no one's demand. A love so powerful, a love so pure, a love that no man can ever cure. Distant love, a love that you and I both found, a love that will travel for miles around. A love like yours, a love like mine, a love that many will never find. Distant love.
Wow.
So that's just one of them. But when I was a young girl, around about 14, 16, I loved poetry. So I would just add poetry over the years, just writing.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, obviously you started writing when you're 12. Was that when you started picking up the poetry as well at that age? Because, I mean, that's...
Yes, but as far as, like, poetry becoming so deep,
it's
when I got older.
Okay.
But as far as 12 years old, like, I would write something like, let's see, one of the ones I wrote about, fleeth not, forsaken me not.
Right.
It says, fleeth not. Now, I wrote this when I was 12 years old. It says, fleeth not, provider for your young. For it was not I who chose to be born. Though I am born of your blood, it was you who forsaken your love, denying the ones who loved you so much the right to know their father's touch. Fleeth not, forsaken me not.
Wow. Okay, you were 12 when you wrote that, because that's
12 years old.
Yeah, because I know a lot of 12-year-olds, and they're great folks, but that's pretty deep for 12.
Yes.
Yes. That's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
And the thing I love about you, of course, like you said, you build self-esteem through your writings so the kids can read it and they can find, and you do that through helping them embrace their history and through the past. And you use a lot of different tools, and, you know, and I think that is fascinating.
Thank you. You see, the thing is, it is about the book that I wrote. Let's see, We Were Born for Greatness. Now, that particular book, it builds self-esteem. It builds self-awareness. It instills character, values, and a self-appreciation for who you are, because you have this fifth grade school teacher. Her name was Miss Williams. And what Miss Williams actually would do is that she would have her class stand up every morning and recite, "We were born for greatness," 5 times. And by doing this exercise, she knew that it would build character within her students. But also, she would always encourage them, I want you to write. Write about your dreams. Write about your hopes. Write about your aspirations. And by doing this, she knew that she was planting a seed within these children to get them to write, but also to get them to read. And what she would do is that she would have them stand up in class and share with the rest of the class what their dreams were. And some of the students would say, my dream is to become an economist. My dream is to become a scientist. My dream is to become a lawyer. My dream is to become a professor. And you see how she was actually building character within each of these children, because these children now had that seed planted that they had to dream. And what she would constantly reiterate to each of them is that no matter where you are in life, even outside of my class, you must never stop dreaming. You must never stop becoming. And because the children loved going to her class, because she knew what it was doing to these children. And see, at the end of the day, she knew that she was letting these children explore their excellence from within. So these children would be so excited, and they would go home, Mom, 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 Dad, Dad, Dad. In Miss Williams' class, she was telling us, we're born for greatness. We're born for greatness. So you see what it does for these children?
Yeah.
It builds them up. It uplifts them. Because we don't know what their situations are at home, but when they went to Miss Williams' class, they knew Miss Williams cared about them. She cared about their well-being. She cared about the future of these children. And she wanted them to know you can become anybody if you apply your knowledge and if you live your dreams. But you got to feed your dreams.
You know, and it's funny because so many kids today, they turn on the TV and they see so many negative influences out there. So to have that kind of person in their life to be able to lift them up and to lift them above all the negative influences that may be run, that's just huge. I mean, that's incredible.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And
yes.
You know, your website allows kids to do that. I love the IreneBooker.com. And
thank you.
You know, talk about the website a little bit.
Well, on the website, you have the children's books for children like age 5 and up. Then you have like the book gear where you have T-shirts that say, "We were born for greatness." Or you may have the T-shirts that say, "Apply your knowledge." Or the wristbands that the children can wear that says, "We were born for greatness." Because I wear mine on both arms every day. And I also give them out to the kids that I actually see on the street when I'm walking to work. I pass those out. I give them to people at work because they say, "Oh, Irene is such a great inspiration." Because I say, I wish that children around the world can have these bands that say, "We were born for greatness." Because anytime they feel low or they feel like they're in a depressed state, they can just look at that wristband and say, "We were born for greatness." And you see what it does? Because it uplifts me, and I'm a grown-up, and I know what it does to me.
Well,
it keeps me motivated, and it keeps me grounded.
Irene, you have definitely lifted us up today, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your day and joining us.
You're more than welcome. That's more than welcome.
Irene Booker was with us. Of course, you can read more about her at IreneBooker.com. This is Now You're Talking on MPB Think Radio.